Hello, my name is Brandon Harpster with the Great Plains Culinary Institute at Southeast Community College and Harpster Culinary. I'm here today to talk to you about the boneless pork loin. The boneless pork loin is a great option that you can easily find in any market that sells pork. There are several options you can take when cutting the pork loin. Yourself at home, all you really need is a cutting board and a good sharp knife, and you can create a variety of options for you and your family to eat. I kind of break the boneless pork loin down into three sections. First is kind of the rib section, the center loin, and then the sirloin area. Starting with the rib section, we have a roast that we could cut from this. Just by making one cut off this, we have the roast. The roast gives us plenty of options for, we have the cap, great roast, with a little bit more flavor to it with that cap on there, roasting whole. You could also take that and cut those into rib chops by cutting them roughly 1 inch thick. If you prefer, you can slice them a little bit thicker for rib chops. And you're always going to be able to identify the rib chops with the look of this cap. The other option you have with the center loin is obviously we could always cut another roast out of it. Pork roasts are great. The center loin is a nice lean section of pork that cooks wonderfully. So we have the option to cut our center cut loin chops out of the center. Again, about 1 inch thick, are great for grilling, sauteing, pan frying. The other option we have for those, which is very popular, is the cutlet. The cutlet is usually pretty thin. One option for the cutlet that most people prefer to have when using the cutlet is they like to take it, flatten it out a little bit to increase the surface area, and then bread it and pan fry it, which is great on its own with the pan gravy, or also great for a sandwich, which is very popular. We could also then, if we have left with this, if we didn't want to cut more chops, we could just do another roast, which pork roasts are a great, easy way to feed a family of multiple eaters. Our last section here is the sirloin. The sirloin area is great as a roast, also great as our cutlets that we cut out of the center, or a couple options for this that I like to offer as well is we can cut those thinner and then into strips. Strips like this are good to quickly saute, pan fry, and use for salads, toppings for sandwiches, kind of just a general all-purpose quick cooking pork option. Also very, very lean and flavorful. Another option is very thin on this pork loin, as thin as you can cut it. Again, with a good sharp knife, it's very easy to do. You cut these very thin. If you wanted to cut them down in half again, I just like to split them down the center. You could take these and use these for a pork stir fry. Great option for that. Then another option for these is cubes. Cubes are great for kebabs. If we wanted to do pork kebabs for a grill out, we could easily take that, cut it about 1 inch thick like we do for our chops, and come back and cut those into roughly 1 inch cubes along the whole method. Now we have these cubes for cooking for our kebabs, which is great for the grill. Then at the end, we could continue to cut any of our variety of options that we wanted to, or again, we could take this as a roast. Some people do like to take that roast and tie it. Either option is fine for you. So to kind of summarize a little bit about the great value you can get by purchasing a whole boneless pork loin. One is your ribeye roast, our center cut roast, which are both great options. We also have our ribeye chops, center cut chops, our cutlets, which are a great option for breading and frying, our strips, which are great for sauteing, our stir fry meat, and then lastly we have our cubes, which are great either for a pork kebab or for a stew. Hopefully this shows you some of the different options you can have with the great value of purchasing a whole pork loin, cutting it yourself to feed you and your family.